Yeah. So now many hands go up. Otherwise, they were probably thinking, should I put my hand up or not? I'm sure everybody knows. But then the Chick shampoo, you know the company name, Kevin Care? Okay, it is a local Indian company at Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. So, you know what they did? Actually, they were the people who put that shampoo into small things, sachets. There's no new product innovation. The formula, the production of the shampoo is all the same. It is just the packaging, innovation in packaging, and implemented that. The sales grew like crazy. They were the first ones to do, but then later it became a strategy. I remember Mr. C.K. Prahalad, late C.K. Prahalad, the guru in the innovation in terms of business models. He said wealth at the bottom of the pyramid. And in fact, based on his advice on how to tap into that wealth, Hindustan Lever did implement. Otherwise, they were thinking in the same global approach. But now you have series of products, that was their strategy. That was their business strategy for growth. Actually, for growth, they had to grow small in terms of size of packaging, but grew their business multifold. Okay, so I think it's just about reinvention in terms of packaging. Can grow business like crazy, right? Thank you so much. You reminded me of that. So Ashok did this one strategy that you came out with, and now your company is funded, right?
Yes.
What was that strategy that based on which you got funded?
It's scalability.
It's scalability.
Scalability, what we brought in. And the innovation, we repositioned the model what we were doing. First we started with our own individual resources. Then we made it combined with 5 or 6 known first circle people. Then we repackaged it so that it can be funded. The funding is in the process. So I can't share too many details here in terms of names. We are actually getting funded for setting up greenhouses. So that
setting up greenhouses. Okay.
So that we can do production and then share the revenues. So that will be happening in a large scale in the very short. It is actually the repositioning of the, like what Vijay said, whatever we were trying to do in a different area.
Did you get this magical mantra straight, or
7 years ago today? It's not easy. It's not going to be easy.
Nobody is giving us quick ones. Nobody is saying that it can be quick. It took 7 years.
Yes, that is told. I think even in mutual funds, so many encouragements are coming. Like you can't grow 3.4 feet to 4.5 feet in 3 days by taking 1 meter. Correct. That's right.
Fantastic. So, because of the strategy, hard work, and continual innovation is why you also got featured in Your Story. Your Story got featured in Your Story.
Yes.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you. And I think that covers our story very well. That Your Story wrote for us. I think they wrote it very well. It covers all aspects, and it is a document for us.
Okay.
And we also got Best Innovation New Business Award in another website.
Okay. Congratulations for that. So there is a strategy behind, and not necessarily each strategy is really worked. So you have to reinvent. That is what has happened to you.
Correct.
Okay.
And even when we are developing strategy, even external factors are there. We want to do business in Karnataka and related to agriculture. There are so many restrictions.
Yeah.
So you have to factor in. We started going in that direction, but we stopped and went to others.
So this is the first crop you started with.
Sandalwood.
Oh, so this is Gandhadagudi, and he started with Gandhadagudi, huh?
And incidentally, we started Gandhadagudi not in Karnataka but in Andhra Pradesh.
Oh, okay.
Because of the
You're spreading Gandhadagudi.
Yes, because of the local restrictions of land holding. That's the main thing.
So that was a part of your strategy?
Yes. So external input we have to take, right?
Sure. There are constraints.
There are
You'll have to
constraints.
factor business, if I have to paraphrase that and say there is a need when business growth strategies has to happen, there are constraints. Strategy has to be taking into all of those into inputs and then arriving at it, right?
Correct. One thing I would like to add is, even when we were doing anything locally and small, we were always thinking about scalability. I can always buy maybe 2 acres of land or half acre of land in one of my relatives' name in Karnataka and could have started. But we wanted to do whatever we are doing with a scale in mind. We want to do at least 2 to 3,000 acres in next 2 to 3 years. If I have to do that, whatever decision I make, whatever choice I make, or whatever direction I take, it should be scalable. So that is, I think, applies to any business anybody would want. Like,
So you want to be rich, you'll have to think big,
yes,
and you'll have to see the scale,
yes,
and you'll have to execute it.
that's right.
Okay? Fantastic. Srikanth, if I have to ask you, I think rich people, they have to have a strategy to grow rich. And to sustain that, their strategy is to outsource it to you. So it's been fantastic, but then I'm sure you would have had strategies, right? To sustain their richness. So how do you do that? Is there any one strategy that you would like to share that, why you are able to sustain? So I'm trying to get some secrets out so that we grow rich.
The stages in growing wealth are threefold. One is accumulation of wealth, then preservation of wealth, and then transfer of wealth. The 3 stages one has to. Everybody's wealth goes through. So when we are talking about accumulation of wealth, it talks about aggressive strategies. Aggressive does not mean gambling. Aggressive does not mean speculation. Aggressive just means your ability to take a greater amount of uncertainty and stay on for a longer time without getting worried. You are gunning for a higher rate of return. Depending on which stage of life cycle the person is, we use accumulation or preservation strategies. Accumulation strategies generally involve ownership of a lot of businesses. As I told you, the simplest way to make money is to own a business and own a good business. One is your own business, second is own others' business without doing any work.
That's a strategy.
That's a strategy.
Okay, so that's where you pitch in. But one question, I know for him he said 7 years for making the strategy work or keep reinventing in new strategies so that it is arrived at a stage where it's getting funded and it's winning awards and so on. Have you been part of any of the strategies which has not worked? Is it important? Do you have triangle mantra for, magic mantra for success? Everything which you touch is good?
If you wait long enough, it all becomes good.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there have been strategies which have not worked for us. When I say not worked for us, it has not worked for our client. And client's money, my money is all the same. I treat it with the same care. And that's the only way to make it work. Now, wherever we have invested monies where the fortunes change rapidly, it has not worked. It may have been a method of being aggressive, but it has not worked. So where there is predictability and sustainability, the wealth accumulation has worked far, far, far better. Unpredictability is unpredictability as it is, may or may not. So we've given up those strategies in favor of sustainable and consistent strategies. For example, somebody comes now and says, I have had 2 experiences of these. One is 99, 2000, 2001. Very volatile period. We had the dot-com boom and the dot-com bust. So the run-up to the dot-com boom saw technology companies' share values shoot up many-fold. Not 1 time, 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times in a very short period. So there were a lot of investment proposals, sector-specific mutual funds which would invest only in technology and entertainment and communication. They were very, very tempting, extremely tempting because of the high growth potential and what had happened. But I tell you, whatever monies we did invest for our clients in that lost. We could not get out at the peak in time because of the narrowness of the field. Next time around, when the infrastructure boom happened, we learned out of that and learned to restrict the amount of money in such narrow fields. And this time around, we didn't lose. So you have to learn out of previous errors and know that it should not happen. As you were mentioning, you have to know when you are wrong and figure out not to be wrong next time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That I think we are getting to here. There's no shortcuts. At the same time, ability to stay agile is what makes somebody stay and bring out new strategies. And Vijay, if I have to ask you, you've been a part of so many strategies, business strategies for growth. I'm sure not all of them would work, right? There's no magic mantra. So how do you deal with failure?
Excellent question. I do, but it's very interesting. Like I said, reassurance. Okay, there are different kind of businesses. Like that's why I asked, what is the profile of the audience today? The different businesses, some like Ashok said here that he left a very nice job because of his passion in here. He had a vision and started his. It took him 7 years. And then there are some who try it out. Like most of the people after their become a second period try out CA. Right? And that's why the pass percentage is lower. This is a very important example. Doesn't everybody believe that passing CA is too difficult? That's the most easiest thing.
Is it so?
It's the most easiest
That's
thing.
what the rich person says, becoming rich is the easiest one.
No. It is because I wanted to be a chartered accountant all my life. I had absolutely a clear vision. So I did take up the course because I wanted to be a chartered accountant, and not as a secondary option, or not just because I try it out and see if I clear on paper. That's very important. So anyway, that apart. So we said dealing with failure. Out of probably 100 people whom we meet, 99 people fail. And that is the statistic. But those 99 people fail. Probably after a few years, they'll be the 1% who always succeed. And like I said, reasons for failures are many. But again, to sustain in failure is important. What I mean by sustenance in failure, and the next step as to how do you deal with failure. I think the underlying factor is sustaining in failure. As in each of us, as individuals, as corporates, it's not just a responsibility to our community or my family as such, but as a corporate, you are responsible to your people also. So when you have a vision and you expect those 100 odd people or 10 odd people or the other guy who's there with you to share your vision, you're also responsible to sustain his failure. When you fail, he fails. He's giving you the support. How do you sustain failure? Important question. Like he said, you always have an emergency fund. So what is your emergency fund to sustain failure? One is your sentimental and your emotional failure. Then is your monetary failure. And then your social failure. Right? They're very important. So emotional, sentimental, when you fail, your family fails with you. Right? So you have a different mental pressure. When you monetary, you have to sustain. So you have a monetary pressure. And then what about your people? You're dealing with the social failure. So I think everything needs to have this emergency strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So when people come to us after a year, something didn't work, my biggest advice to them is during their entire 1 year or 2 years, what is your alternative? Are you job ready? Number one. Right? It's as simple as that. You started off as an entrepreneur, you made your money, you put in all your savings, but after 2 years, what is your alternative? Can you go back to a job? Most of the time it's no. Because you're out of a job for 2 years, who would accept you? So every business has a support emergency fund that you need to deal with at the start of the business. That's most important. First thing, the biggest mistake every entrepreneur makes is don't take a salary. Oh, no, I'm happy with 1 rupee. You know the 1 rupee salary, what happened? So I'm happy with 1 rupee salary. No. You need to peg your worth, your time, and take something home. Number one. in that something home, you also keep something aside for a rainy day. Apart from that, always ensure that as an individual, when you go out after a year or 2 years or 3 years, when it failed, either you have an alternate strategy of somebody supporting you, or you're ready to go back to what you were before. I have so many entrepreneurs today with me who can't go back to jobs. Who just can't. And that is when it hits you hard. So I think, like he said, during the journey of success, of growth, one of the most important growth strategy is to build a cushion and to have an alternate opportunity after that period of 2 years, 3 years, when you actually fail. And then, like I said, after 5 years, you will be that one person who will succeed. Because you know where you went wrong. You know you have done this wrong.
Yeah.
When you come back after your job after 5 years, you will do it right. And you have the experience of a failure.
See, I've heard of this, it's not about how many times you fall, it's all about failure is a part and parcel of life. And in HP, in the US, when R&D labs, the way they set the goals itself, they would have stretched goals. But the CEO once said, if everybody could achieve all their goals, then probably we are playing a game not worth playing. Okay, so it has to be, they also train people on how to handle failure. So Anthony Robbins very nicely says that, its leadership is all about ability to stand in that uncertainty confidently. So for every business, for anybody has to grow, and the strategy, if they have to have, and with that, you call it gut, whatever, but that is also part of life, that the ability, the confidence in which that you can stand in that uncertainty, because as humans we can't live in uncertainty for long. That's how Intel CEO, ex-CEO had written this book, Only Paranoid Survive. Wherever there is a minority, they thrive. So most of the people who are immigrants, they thrive because that uncertainty gets them to do things, and when they do that, they get success, they grow rich, right? So failure, there is a famous thing, great entrepreneur, famous which we have heard, this quote on I failed 9,000, when somebody said you failed 9,999 times, he said no, I figured out 9,999 ways of how to not invent something, right? What is that something? Okay, so should we give a prize for him? So he was the first one, yeah. And what did he invent? Bulb. Okay, and today it is a company. What is the company name? GE, right? But when he failed so many times, he still said he did not fail. He only figured out that many times how not to invent a bulb, right? Why did that happen? It's a question for all of us to think. Why do you think it happened? Anybody? Put yourself into Thomas Alva Edison's shoes and wear his hat of thinking and shout out your answer. What do you think he would have thought? Anybody? There's a prize for it. You'll get a bulb. We had a vision
to create the bulb.
to create the bulb, okay? Good attempt. Anybody else? Continual effort. That don't give up. Okay. So he says don't give up attitude of his.
He wanted to get the best out of him.
He wanted to get
The best. So
Huh.
he tried.
Sorry?
He kept trying to get the best.
He kept trying to get the best. That's his answer. Anybody else? Shout out. Okay? He wanted to take away darkness. Anybody else? To me, I think there's no right or wrong answer. When I was putting myself into Thomas Alva Edison's shoes and wore his hat, I got this bulb lit, and the feeling was that he set the context. The context in which he operated was removal of darkness by choice. Okay, that was the context and the attempt that he was making. So he never started to say that I am going to invent a bulb. No. His objective was removal of darkness by choice. And ultimately, 1,000 attempt came out as a bulb. So failure didn't sound like a failure for him because the context was intact. If we have to grow in business or grow rich or build rich businesses, with that context, that's the vision that we were talking about, and having the strategy is what is going to help. And gut, he spoke about gut. It reminds me, Srikanth, of Dhirubhai Ambani. When Mukesh Ambani went to him, he actually attempted 6 times that he went to his father, Dhirubhai Ambani, where Mukesh is, I think, Harvard guy, right? And whereas Dhirubhai didn't go to any of those fancy schools, big schools. But he had to go to his father and say, this is my plan to launch my cell phone company, okay? Reliance Phone. 6 times he shot it down. He said no. He went back, he said, go come with a new plan. He came back next time again with a new plan, failed. Because his dad didn't allow. He said no. Every time he went back, it didn't work. Ultimately, he asked, what do you think I should do? So that you would say yes. He said, come back with a plan. Actually, 6 attempts later only he asked the smart question. Okay, so the question when he asked, Dhirubhai said, if at all you come back with a plan where every common man, I would like to see a plan where the phone is used by auto rickshaw person, a vegetable vendor, and all of these people, then I think you have a strategy. He never went to business schools, but that's a revolution today. If mobile technology has gone up, why Facebook bought WhatsApp at $19 billion is a phenomenal, is because the cell phone has reached. In fact, we had this conversation. I think Mr. Gopi was also together. We were all together in Narayan. In village we were going, and that was when the $19 billion deal had happened. So we were wondering, what is the strategy? Why should Facebook have to have paid $19 billion for simple app? Only 56 or 65 people working for that company. So what was the need business strategy, right? And as we were discussing, different reasons, each one. So amongst us, it was in a village called Mapal in Nizamabad district, and somebody was guiding us in that place. Okay, it's a model village today, a rural model village. So villager was there, and as we were talking this subject, he got a call. He answered, and then he was talking about some land or some place and so on. So he's probably never gone to school. And the other person looks like maybe asks, where are you, and so on. And also some document. And this man says, Naki, what's up, Pumpiche? Like, all of us turned around. He answered, look at the penetration. This man has never gone to school, but he is saying, just send me a WhatsApp. At the bottom of the pyramid, it's reached there. And it didn't happen, and Facebook didn't pay $19 billion for no strategy for growth. Look at the impact that they created, right? And this is about change. Either their strategy was, can they disrupt or they go acquire synergies. So with that, I think I would like to open up the stage for those people who have questions. So few questions got answered, that there's no easy way route and all that. I thought I will still try my level best to get how to become rich very quickly. Quickly possible, it's all in your mind is what he said. And it's all about relativeness and so on. But I would like to open it up for you to shoot questions to these 3 gentlemen. You can even ask named questions also. So any questions, anybody wants to ask questions to this panel?
you're all safe.
Any questions for the panel? On strategies or yeah. You can introduce yourself and then ask a question.
I'm Gopinath. I run a trading firm for Ashok years, and it's the third generation business. My son has recently got it and it's the fourth generation.
Ah. Wow.
But I still find that I'm lagging very much behind than the first generation guys. Everybody respects us and everything is fine, but money is not coming in. And I think Srikanth knows me personally, so maybe you should make a case study out of me and get the best out of me and help others. Thank you.
This is one of the classic, I think, classic question like Bill Gates saying, "What do you want to be? I want to be richer." So, any answers for this?
Since I know you personally, I would disagree with you when you say no money is coming in.
Okay, number one. So here is a classic case of relativeness.
Secondly, if you feel that the business that you are in has lost relevance for any reason, simply invest in other businesses. One has to evaluate strengths, skills, abilities, etc. And most of us have an ability to understand one business and run one business. So how do you get to other businesses? If Infosys has become from 98 crores to 2 lakh crores, how do you partake of that wealth? You buy an Infosys stock. You buy a TCS stocks, which has grown 100% in a couple of hardly 12 months time. So you have to put some of your wealth in other businesses which are growing at a rate higher than your business. And that is how you can still make wealth. That is how you can still create wealth. And somebody else is doing it for you, not you.
Anybody else has anything to share?
It's a very difficult question, first of all. Like you said, a very humble question as well. I'm sure that, like a doctor, when you go to him with the pain, he does a lot of tests. It's very difficult for me to answer that question as well. So when I say money is not coming in, it's very generic. But anyway, to get a larger picture, I understand the business. Again, my mantra would clearly be, reinvent. So I've seen similar businesses as well. I'm a fourth generation chartered accountant myself, and seen the evolution since grandfather till what we are doing now is tremendous. It's tremendous. So from a very different approach to advice and representation to how we give advice, how we represent, the amount of time we are willing to give to our clientele, but the very personal side. Typically, if a person walks into my office, the look, the feel, the warmth has all changed since the time of the first generation to the fourth generation. And so I believe very, very passionately that reinvention is the order of the day. So even your business, if I understand trade, I've seen many families just reinventing the way they sell, and that has done a lot of wonders for cash flow. Many advanced models being adopted today, like Big Basket, for example. I don't know if you've so that's, I think, is a typical story when reinvention of the same shop into an online platform, but at the end of the day, the basics remain the same. So I'm not saying we should be going to the online platform, but give something that the consumer wants today. We also buy from all our families in Bangalore. We are probably, probably 10 families, and all of us still buy from the same shop. But I think nowadays the generation wants something different. So identifying that and maybe reinventing may be the answer. But I don't know, like I said, I know the pain, but I don't know where it is right now. So maybe we could meet offline.
I could just add, the segment of business that you are in, and you have been in for so many generations, you obviously know the business well. You could always study which part of the chain is making money or more money. There is a chain from the supplier, manufacturer, trader, value builder, end user, the entire chain. If you believe that some other part of the chain is making more money, you could always migrate to that part. So if you are, say, trading in plywood, for example, and that is not satisfactory for you, the person who's converting plywood to furniture may be making a higher profit margin. So you could always migrate to another part of the chain which you believe is going to make more money.
So one of the things is I have to thank him for taking his own personal case and putting it forward, because it's been very useful for everybody else to relate to their own businesses, right? I'm sure each one. So he's probably got the Anthony Robbins quote so quickly that he said, I'm going to step into that uncertainty, shoot that question. But I'm sure it benefited a lot of them, because here we got need for reinvention. Okay, you be the change or you are a part of the statistics, right? So you have to reinvent. That is the strategy. That's the business growth strategy. Is about like reinvention. It could be product innovation or process innovation, or it could be in terms of policy innovation. So you'll have to be that change, and that's the only constant, right? So you be the change. And
the Deeply's example is right there in front of us.
yeah,
They're a family-run business. They had a store which has been running for a long time, and today they've completely restructured and made it franchisee based. So if you have a property, it'll be your franchise. So they're giving their experience, their collective experience, their collective sourcing, the collective supply chain. Also, institutionalizing their clientele from an individual to an institute.
Yeah.
All that they're giving you in a platform.
yeah,
And that is actually reinventing.
reinventing.
So
It actually, when constraints are there, is when actually creativity kicks in, if you're passionate about it. One example that we can all relate to Bangaloreans is famous MTR. MTR, when father started and then two sons and one hotel, so it was a family business. Later, father passed away, then it was amongst two brothers. Then there was a stage that it had to be separated out for a better future. So the elder got the hotel, the younger got few products which is ready instant idli mix, and because they invented, by the way, if we didn't know, Rava idli was invented by MTR. Okay, so and that also happened when there was constraint, when the rice was all emergency season, then they figured out. So rather than feeling sad about it, they invented, and today they become popular. Okay, and here very successful hotel, and then comes this partition, and the younger person gets I don't know what all he got, but got some Rava idli mix packets, right? That is as a business. So everybody thought that it's not probably very fair. The famous hotel has gone to one person, then there are a few packets which went to the other person. But that business, who stayed as hotel, still popular. But with constraints, they reinvented and became such a popular thing because it's all ready-made stuff and pack and go scale. They got scale, they got machinery, then a Finland company buys it out for several hundred crores. Okay, so sometimes it's the same business generation after generation, but then reinvention can make a big difference. So thank you for bringing those out. And we had one more gentleman putting his hand up. Can we, Srinivas, right? You had a question. Oh, okay. Now since I called you out, you want to have a question. So who else? You have a question. What's your good name? Announce your name and also what you do.
So this is Vishwas here, and I am one of my co-founder assisting
Okay.
So that's what we do. But the question, my question was very like it's a generic question. You've been talking about reinvent and things like that. The companies you've been mentioning is all about with money or with knowledge. Like they have a little of more than the sustenance level. But here we see like all the electronic items and everything is going online. And assuming we have a person who just has a shop who's selling some electronic items. He doesn't have a big amount of money to go online and then do marketing and things like that. But then he can't sustain today with the online marketing price, online prices as well. So where does he stand in the market? Does he have to shut down or how does he have to reinvent? He is not having so much money to go like how the online guys do. So just economic wise, how will he work it out was my question.
I don't know if you understood the online model. The online is the final platform to the end consumer. But the online space is also made up of thousands and thousands of shops. The online space, I'll take my example. I want to buy, my son's birthday is a few days away from now. I wanted to buy a toy for him. And so I went online and saw different spaces. So the first thought is, what about my corner road toy shop? What about the shop that I used to go, the bangle store shop that I used to go and buy shop? Are they losing their relevance? But I understood the same shop supplies online through this portal. So you come into an electronic store, as in typically a Sapphire or a smaller shop near home, everybody has become a vendor to the online space. They will not go online on their own. They will not have the money to build that platform. They will not have the money and wherewithal or finances to even have a payment gateway. For example, payment gateway takes off a certain commission. They have a different payment period. They're not able to sustain those number of days. But they have become vendors to the online platforms. Today, that same guy who was down the road, my neighbor was selling shops in his garage. I went to his store recently. He has 3 floors of 3,000 square feet each, stocking only for Flipkart. Twice. I was amazed. And absolutely reinvented. So your question of this, what happened to these people? These people have the experience in sourcing. The small electronic shop understands the pain of 1 rupees and 2 rupees. So they have the experience in sourcing. This is the experience that Flipkart wants. Flipkart has the money and the scale and the volume, which they don't have. But they don't have the experience in sourcing. They don't have the experience in actually going to the nooks and crannies of those roads and places where we can source. And this is what is reinventing. So the same toy shop I saw, I got it from him for a lesser price. But it's amazing that he could stock in a 10 by 10 garage. Today he has 6,000 square feet of space and I couldn't walk into that garage. So I'd go down. Shocked. So I'm saying, again, what it brings us down to is partnerships, is intelligent partnerships. So if you don't have the money, partner with somebody who does and see what you can give him, how you can add value to him. So I think this intelligent partnerships doesn't need money, it only needs time, it needs experience and maturity. So I hope I answered that question.
I have a different Samsung mobile. Then the guy was a dealer, he's not able to do that. Include the business. That scenario always survive.
Again, Flipkart is not getting that, they're getting a little bit more detail, but Flipkart doesn't have that margin. How is Flipkart able to subsidize? I know that vendor will not give him that discount. If the vendor doesn't give him the discount, he has a price for Flipkart. It is the public who's paying that money. So they slash the prices. They have the ability, they have the power to slash prices, but they don't push their vendor down.
That part is always.
That's what I'm saying. They don't push the vendor down.
Only one vendor, one option, like you say, a couple of vendors, say 10 vendors are sourcing into Flipkart. The rest 90 vendors is what I'm saying. Like, this is my question. Where will he go?
I think, that's very right. I think it is got answered in a way. So that's the situation now, and the time for the reinvention. So each person has to do that. For example, 20 years ago, having a phone was like a big thing, right? Only rich had the phone. And here comes a big innovation. breakthrough. Sam Petroda got that revolution here for India, and the cables got laid with STD ISD booths. People used to queue up. 11 o'clock later, discount. So I used to see people lining up. And today, where is the STD ISD booths? It's not even there. And it doesn't make any sense only, right? Landline, we all have it because there is a need for address proof. Okay, so that's the way it is. So change is constant. Now, yes, that's where the need for the business strategy. If you want to, one is growing rich, staying rich, and making others rich. That's this panel about. And with this, I would like to, sum up some of the points that I could note and bring about is fantastic learning. One thing is that, there's a famous quote, just reminded, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan, or we are a part of others' plan. So, you need to have a plan, else we are a part of others' plan. Not having a plan is a very good plan for failure. Not having a plan is a very good plan for failure. In terms of, another major thing came out based on this conversation is that a good advice may be expensive. A good advice may be very expensive, but it's cheaper than the price you pay for not taking it. I repeat, a good advice may be expensive, but it's cheaper than the price you pay for not taking it. So many of these, like Marvin, I said, it's that advice which helped these companies to turn around. Okay, so there are need for mentors, there are need for experts, and when they could create wealth, they were very, very good at becoming rich. But when they created that, they also knew it is better to outsource of sustaining that richness. At the same time, you will have to give back in the way that it is a new business model for you. So thank you all for bringing all those aspects, and I think they all deserve a great applause. In terms of how you grow rich, be rich, and make others rich. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bring you over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Naveen.